Hi, welcome back to our series on uncommon success, how family stewards produce intentional wealth. And today we're going to be talking about one of the probably the most challenging but most fulfilling endeavors any of us experience in life, and that is raising children. I noticed that as I did my research with the 45 family stewards for the book, as well as working with our clients, that those that are successful with money and with family are very intentional about how they raise their children. So I took the opportunity here to share with you 5 of the best practices that I've noticed as I went through that research and wrote the book. The first one is narratives. Speaking frequently with your children about money, spending and saving and giving and work ethic. If it's not spoken, it doesn't exist. That's how our children and us as human beings, we all learn in language, and we learn new language and new ways of thinking and coping with our situations and learning about money and how to deal with it. Quick story, my son Will, he's in an age right now where everything he asks why, and then where did that come from? And at times, I really cascade it deeply for him. And I'll say, if he points to, let's say, food, and he says, where did that come from? I'll say that where it was produced, and then it was shipped to the grocery store, and then mommy and daddy had to use some of their income that they earned in their career to be able to buy the food so that we could enjoy it and eat. So building those narratives of work ethic, value, earning income, earning a living, and then being able to buy products and services, things like food that we need to survive and live on. The second best practice I notice is engaging them. We noticed that our successful family stewards were very intentional about having activities where they could be in close association with their children, whether that be going on family vacations during the summer camps, engaging in school sports. And the other thing we noticed is that they would a lot of times use tangible examples. So one of the things that we saw was using the 3 buckets, or 3 jars. When a child is old enough to understand a little bit about coins and currency, that if they earn an allowance or a commission or from doing a chore, if they got $5, then they would put $3 maybe in the spending jar, $1 in the giving jar, and then $1 in the savings jar. It was very tangible for them to see that. Second thing that we saw as an example was getting the paycheck in cash. So imagine that as a breadwinner, you brought home your paycheck in cash in $10 bills, and you stacked it there on the table to show how much does it cost for the home, how much does it cost for utilities, how much does it cost for education, how much does it cost for food. It's a very visual way for children to see what it costs to run a household. Third best practice is involve them in your giving. Model it. Let them see you. Have them serve with you. What an amazing experience to be able to do that side by side with your child. Number 4 is teenagers working. We cross-referenced 2 different responses in the survey and in the research. The first was how important was it for their children to have teenage jobs, and then later on we asked what was your satisfaction level with the work ethic of your adult child. What we noticed, which was fascinating, is that those that had jobs as teenagers produced much greater satisfaction in terms of work ethic later on in life for their parents. So it was about a 45% increase there if the teenager had a job that they tended to have, from their parents' assessment, a stronger work ethic when they got to be adults. Last but not least is financial responsibility. How do you define that? How do your children think with that? What does that mean? How is financial independence earned? These are questions that many of our respondents said we were intentional about talking about that, or they weren't, but what it showed up here is the more you understand, or they understand, what is financial responsibility, it allows them to be aiming their practices at being financially responsible. So let's go to a checklist, self-assessment checklist. Think about this for yourself, starting with number 1, your narratives. How often are you speaking with your children about saving, investing, spending, and work ethic? Number 2, how can you engage them in learning? Is it a tangible way that you're helping them to learn about money? Number 3, do you ask your children about giving? Like in other words, what are their ideas about giving? Or where do they know somebody that might be in need? Can you serve with them and have them in the same projects with you? Number 4, teenage jobs. Is that something that's going to be important for your children if they're younger than that? or if they're teenagers now? Is that something that you've placed at high importance? And as I pointed out, research shows that tends to produce a better outcome in terms of work ethic later. And last but not least is, how do you and they define financial responsibility? What's required to have financial freedom? We're guaranteed political freedom by the country that we're born into, but financial freedom has to be earned. And what does that mean? How can your actions as a parent encourage financial responsibility? And then last, especially if your children are now becoming adults, how can you work with your network to help them earn more in their careers and set them up so they are successful in their careers? So reflect on that checklist. We'd be happy to help you in any of those 5 categories or practices for raising children. And remember, it has to start with the intent if you want to have uncommon success.